Hey everyone! My name is Chasika Price, and for my final project for communication R321, I'm going to be interviewing my friend Kimberly Boyd for this podcast. And she has a lot of professional experience in a lot of the topics that we went over in class. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Jessica.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Her background is in marketing, primarily in real estate, which, like I said, really ties into our class content. And obviously, a huge part of marketing in today's day and age is social media. Tell me about that. Have you ever had to sell something on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, social media has become like this whole new branch of marketing that really didn't exist before 10 years ago. And so, being users and being kind of part of that generation that grew up with social media has been really interesting, and now seeing it used for business. So like you mentioned, my background is in real estate, and I started off in college actually selling like student housing apartments, and it was for a building that had not been built yet. It was going to be done by the upcoming school year. And so we use social media and influencer marketing in particular to get kids on campus, myself being included, like one of those kids from different social groups, different grade levels, things like that. And we had a lot of user generated content. So we were asking them to post on social media, get their peers to like and share the posts. And that was a really successful tactic for us. So,
Oh, awesome. The other side of social media is that it's not really real. Like everyone's kind of putting their best foot forward. Have you ever had to try and sell something that's not real or something like kind of metaphorical? How'd you do that?
well, yeah. So exactly in that, in my first job, really in sales, again, it was focused in new development real estate. And so my first job and then my second job, where I became a marketing manager, it was my responsibility to lease apartments in a building that was either heavily under construction or like under serious renovations or just literally did not exist yet. And so, um, you know, really that was my whole job was selling something that doesn't really exist. And I think the way that you go about that is you sell the experience, so we have drawings, we have renderings of what the apartments are going to look like. That matters, but it doesn't matter as much as you might think. I think really it's more about, talking about specifically for that example, like the proximity to campus and what the amenities are like, and, the types of events that we host and things like that, and really selling them on what their life would be like. And again, for them, what their college experience would be like, should they choose to live with us. So yeah, absolutely. I don't want to call it deceptive, but it's definitely metaphorical.
Right on. Yeah, no, that definitely sounds really difficult. So how do you sell an experience? Do you use like stories or narratives to do that?
Yeah, 100%. So again, kind of looping back into my first point, which is like the influencer marketing and getting your peers to, you know, kind of vouch for a product, or give lend their credibility to a product, or
Mhm.
something like that. Further on in my career, I did eventually move out of new development sales and into more multifamily, like traditional apartments. And for most of the projects that I worked at, I actually lived in the building as well. So I was able to, with almost every person, I had a personal story. I had a personal like experience in the building, and I could come to them and say, okay, yeah, I'm not just coming to you as a salesperson. I'm coming to you also as a resident, and I live here as well. And I could be really honest with them about some of the things that they were concerned about, or just things like that. Yeah, absolutely. I use my own personal experience, and again, selling just their possible experience through storytelling, through, myself and through the other residents in the building that I knew. It's a huge part of sales.
Right on. Yeah, stories are incredibly powerful, as we've learned in the class that this is for. So humans obviously have been passing down stories and myths for generations. And one of the oldest American myths that we also discussed in this class is called the triumphant individual, which is similar to like the American dream. And it's basically the belief that if you're a humble person and you work really hard, that you will be successful. How do you feel like that relates to your experience, or does it at all?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think especially in sales, but I think in a lot of different careers and professions, there is the idea that like if you just work harder, or if if you just say the right thing, or you talk to enough people, like you will be successful. And I think there's an element to that is true. And you do have to be dedicated, and you know, part of it is just a numbers game, and you have to put yourself out there in order to be successful in that way. But at the same time, again, it's a really good question, because it doesn't exactly align with my experience, because I've been in positions where I've had to sell something, or I've been asked to sell something that there were other problems. Like it wasn't my fault that the building wasn't selling. There were external issues to be worked around. And I think that just in terms of the American dream, or the triumphant individual, I think that Americans in particular want to say, oh, suck it up, like just work harder, oh, just do this. But we have to realize that sometimes there are things that are outside of our control that either contribute or are a detriment to our success. So I think part of it's true, but I think part of it is a little bit bigger than just the wives' tale that we always hear.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Well, those are all of the questions that I have for you. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk with me. And it's been awesome talking with you. And I've loved learning more about you professionally. So I will talk to you later.
And thank you so much for having me, and good luck with the rest of your class.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.